Hey kids, so I've got another little excerpt for you. This time it was Doug and me debating Rankin and Bass. And Doug refuses to acknowledge that he knows what they are, even though he knows fully well what they are. And we actually discussed an episode of like Thundercats and Silverhawks after this debate. Anyway, enjoy. It's kind of difficult to wrap your head around too, because particularly like if you get the non-classical, I will call it, background where I did is like way before I went through Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit proper. I had been exposed to like the Rankin and Bass, the greatest adventure, and fucking later, like right as I'm going through the Lord of the Rings books, the Lord of the Rings movies had been coming out, and like the Rankin and Bass in particular really messes with you because the goblins are depicted drastically different from the orcs. And like even as you're watching the movies and you're looking at it, it's like, oh, the orcs are actually corrupted elves. It's like, weird. I'm not getting that from these visuals.
Huh. For those of you who are not 900 years old, when Morris speaks of Rankin and Bass, they produced The Hobbit, The Last Unicorn, Return of the King, and Flight of Dragons back in the 80s and early 70s.
The cartoon version,
Yeah. Those of us who apparently didn't...
Actually, still to this day, I think the Rankin and Bass versions of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings are the best ones.
Really?
Also, I was a very small child at the time, but, at the end of the 80s, that was still a thing.
It follows the story better than the movies does, actually.
All right, better than The Hobbit. Well, shit, dude, I'm looking at these. Yeah, no, I'm not willing to say that the old stuff is better. Like 99% of the time, I'm willing to say that. But I'm looking at Frodo's little fat face, and I just want to put my fist through it in this thing.
And which one?
Dude, I totally get it, and actually I'm searching for it on my computer here so I can give folks at home who are unfamiliar, is like, here's how the stuff looked, as like the old animations that they had back in the day. I was never particularly fond of the way that they depicted Bilbo, and I actually think that Gandalf was not too grand in the way that they portrayed him there. But, it's like somewhat better to say that he's a Maiar from that, as opposed to in the movies he looks just like another human. But and I'm going to click on Gollum here. Like Gollum, oh my god, like the original Rankin and Bass Gollum is a lot closer to what he should be from the novels, but to what they did in the movies, it's like, wait, what?
Because the voice was great in the movies.
He's supposed to, the voice and all that, but like he's supposed to have webbed feet, as described in the original Hobbit, and I'm not seeing that from Smeagol in the movies. Like, that's not a thing. He's just like a skinny dude who's somewhat corrupted.
Oh, jeez, is he the frog-looking guy?
Yeah, that's what he originally looked like, and that's a lot closer to what he was supposed to be. From if you read the descriptions in the Hobbit.
Ring was supposed to have warped his.
But I think at some point when they were doing character design, they decided for their version of him, oh, that's too radical. Nobody's gonna believe that he was originally a Hobbit. But that's
He was a river Hobbit.
That's the entire point, though, is that he is that corrupted that he looks like a frog.
Well, he's like 400 years old or something in the He's that old because the ring let him live that long. And it also corrupted him from living underground the whole time, too. So he that's why he got the big eyes, because he adapted to the, his situation. It just corrupted him that badly. It's almost like, if you think about it, what's the H.P. Lovecraft where you turn into a fish person?
All of them?
Well, you know what I mean. What's the name of it?
Innsmouth.
Innsmouth, thank you. It's sort of like that, where you start slowly turning into a fish person, and that's basically kind of what he did. You know what I mean? So, makes me wonder if maybe Tolkien got some inspiration off of that. I don't know. Because it came before The Hobbit did, so you know what I mean? Or around the same time? I don't remember.
Where the hell did we leave off?
We were talking about
Dwarves.
Dwarves, and we got on this tangent because of hating goblins.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that, actually.
Oh, come on.
I don't know. Some people should automatically be worse in some areas.
Oh, definitely. And 50% of dwarves are hard assholes, and 50% have stubby fingers. Like,
Yeah, but they've never been portrayed as, not dexterous. Just not, you know what I mean?
every single one of them has hands like they've been rubbing them in salt and sand for the last 40 years. Every single one of them looks like they regularly reach into a forge barehanded and pull out a gleaming red sword.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They portray them more as, tough, strong than they do as,
Actually,
they've
the
always
last
been
Hobbit
dour
movie,
and taciturn, is what I'm saying.
the last Hobbit movie had like the sexiest boy band dwarf I've ever seen, and he rightly got killed. Spoiler alert. Anyway.
Which one was that? I don't even remember.
It's the only one that looks like an actual human person. I'm looking at
me because I never saw it. So
he was I don't know. He was one of the ones that's like glory and
was
glory.
it the one that was hooking up with the elf chick, or was it?
Yeah, we totally didn't get to
Keely?
see that for it. That
was either
before
Keely or
Fight Club.
Feely. I don't remember which one.
So we got to really try.
Actually, no, it was the black.
We got to really try for this spoiler, and you guys are fucking blaming me for getting us off on the Rankin and Bass tangent. It's like,
I didn't
fuck
blame you.
off.
That was a production company in the 1980s. You're killing me.
I was born in 85. What the fuck do you want from me?
I was born in 86. Those movies came out in 82 and 77.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's
I
like
was
they,
born in
guess
70.
what?
I know what he's talking
Guess
about.
what, Doug? When I was growing up, they were on VHS and super affordable at the time. Why do you think I know about them?
I probably have them on VHS still.
They actually put them out on TV a couple times, so
Huh.
I think I recorded it up.
Also, one of the things that always struck me funny is I saw the original Hobbit movie that they did, but I never saw the Lord of the Rings that they did, and it's funny to me that like whenever they try to tackle it in live action, we got to do 3 movies, like 3 books, Rankin and Bass. No, we can condense this into one fucking film.
Yeah, seriously, Hobbit should have been 2 max.
Yeah, because they put a lot of extra crap that they didn't need to.
So they were trying to go for some sort of strange symmetry is my theory on that, which that's all it is. It's a theory. I haven't done any reading on it.
See, the first Hobbit movie was fine.
Yeah, it didn't even seem that bad. When the first one came out, I was kind of bummed that I
good.
wasn't around to go out to
sucked.
see it with anybody. But at that stage, like then it's like the second one onward, I just kept getting worse and worse reports from you guys.
Well, like,
Silmarillion's going to be 9 movies.
They did a really good job with Smaug, except for the fact that they killed him with a giant fucking ballista bolt rather than a stupid arrow like he should have been killed with.
If he was
like
killed,
that.
if he was killed with a single arrow, a single standard normal arrow. Now, if it was magic and they pointed
It was
okay.
a magic arrow.
Okay,
that's what I'm
yes,
saying.
and the other point was that the archer was exceptionally skilled, and that Smaug was being very, smug and full of himself.
And he left that one area under his belly, where I think is where he laid on the Arkenstone, and it didn't go into his whatever. So that left it open right under his heart. And also, story-driven plotline.
I think the entire thing about The Hobbit that really upset me is that Orlando Bloom was in it, and there was also a guy who looked exactly like Orlando Bloom in it, and I couldn't tell them apart, and I was having a lot of trouble with that.
So, on a completely different note, I was going to bring up the Orlando Bloom thing anyway, because that is a decision that definitely pissed me off. It's like, oh yeah, let's put Legolas in this. It's like, because he would have been alive at the time. It's like, he would have. He would have been alive at the time, but he fucking wasn't in The Hobbit. Read the goddamn book.
He could have been at the battle. They would have never mentioned him because he had not been made up at that point.
He should have been. They should have made him like a background. You see him like kind of an Easter eggy type of thing. You see him once, maybe twice, and that's it.
Yeah, he didn't need to talk or anything. You could have just seen him in the background or something. That'd have been fine.
So one of the things that, like, I think we should get off this topic, but I just
Yes.
want to say before we do, is that, like,
Thus ensuring we stay on the topic.
Bilbo, yes, Bilbo was such a better dude than Frodo was whenever you actually read the books.
Oh, yeah.
Because Bilbo went out and dealt with shit right away and then had to face the spiders. And, like, that's a good story to teach your kids. Meanwhile, Frodo, whenever it's his turn up to bat, fucking suddenly decides, you know what, I could piss around another 50 years at home before I take on this quest.
Really?
He waited a ridiculously long time. I think
but
I'm
he left as soon as Gandalf.
I'm exaggerating a bit, but he wanted to set out at the same time, the same old age that Bilbo was whenever he goes out. So he, like, pissed away 10 years waiting for Gandalf to figure out what the ring was.
Yep.
It's like, it's almost as if you would have left earlier, Sauron wouldn't have been able to put all this shit up against you because he wouldn't have such an established army already.
I gotta reread them.
I don't know how Gandalf didn't know what the fucking ring was to begin with, for God's sakes.
I cut Tolkien a lot of slack for being a linguist, is all I'm going to say on that. Hey kids, are you mad that I didn't warn you about Doug's late spoiler mention after he mentioned the spoiler? Well, you could email Mike about it at valantrix@gmail.com. That's Valantrix spelled Valantrix. Otherwise, you could just, like, page on down to the comments below this video and tell Doug that you know who Rankin and Bass are and that he's an idiot for pretending that he doesn't and that Morris is totally right. Not that that would benefit me in any way. Anyhow, later.